So here we have a graph of either a sine or a cosine, and we want to determine the equation of the midline of the following graph. So let me screenshot it so you know I can draw on it. And let me draw you what the midline is. So the midline is if you were to take this graph and right in the middle of it, draw a horizontal line. So this is my midline, and it is my midline because it's directly in between, like here's the highest point, here's the lowest point. The midline is right in between those two, and it just goes all the way horizontal. So this is our midline, and we want to find the equation of this red line that I have drawn. And so since it is a horizontal flat line, it's going to take the form of y equals, and then whatever number of its height. So right now we have it intersecting the y-axis at 4, so then its midline equation is y equals 4. So with that being said, do you guys have any questions on this first example? Okay, so if you don't have questions yet, that's totally fine. If you come up with a question later on because you just need more examples to have a question, that makes sense too. I was like that too. So our answer is literally y equals 4, just the equation of that middle line. That's why it's called a midline. So let's enter y equals 4. Y equals 4, just like that. All right, let's take a look at another problem. Okay, screenshot this one. Determine the equation of the midline of the following graph. Okay, so if you are visually inclined, you might be able to tell that the middle is right over here. However, since this one is a taller graph, some people might have trouble finding out where exactly is the middle. So let me show you guys another way. There's, you could just look at it and draw it, but some people cannot just look at it and draw it and figure out where the middle is. So another way you can do it is to take the y value of your top and bottom. So let's take those y values. This has a y value of 0. This one has a y value of, let's take a look, -4. Okay, so you can take those two y values. Hold on, let me fix the attendance really quick. Okay, so you can take the two y values, one at the top, one at the bottom, and then you can average them. And by average, I mean add it together and divide by 2. So I took the y value of 0, which was the top y value, and I took the y value of the bottom, which was -4. I add it together on the top, and then I divide by 2, which gives us -2. And if you look at where I drew this horizontal line right over here, this one, you can see that it is at the height of -2. See? So then our equation for this guy, for this line, is y equals -2. And once again, if you cannot just visually see where the midline is, then what you can do is take the y value of the top, the y value of the bottom, and average them so that you can get the y value of your midline. So now that we went through 2 examples, does anybody have a question? Okay, let's try one more. I think we can manage one more. Y equals -2. I know there's only 3 problems, but just in case, let's do one more. Determine the equation of the midline of the following graph. So once again, maybe you're just one of those people that can see it, and you're like, oh yeah, that's the midline right there. That's great for you. Sometimes people might not be able to, so let's do the process I did last time. Here's the top, here's the bottom. The y value is 1 on the top. On the bottom, y value is -3. You can see that by counting it like that. So then we can average those two. 1 plus -3 divided by 2. Let's average together. So that's 1 minus 3. That's -2 over 2. Divide it. -1. Take a look at where our horizontal midline is. This is indeed y equals -1 because look where it touched our y-axis at -1. Any questions on our final example? Okay, I'll enter it in. Y equals, whoa, what happened here? There we go. All right, so that's it for midline from a trig graph.